Shortly after you opened the Phala Phala case, you were approached and offered a whole lot of money.
That's true.
It's about 50 million.
Plus.
50 million plus.
No, it was 50 million and there was additional.
To drop the case. Tell us about that. How did it happen?
I think there are views about Phala Phala, and Phala Phala is not going to go away. Phala Phala is going to stay and hang like a stigma even when the president is on pension.
Then you have a president of the country in trouble with the law, because Phala Phala will not go away. He can do whatever he wants to do.
So, the South African Reserve Bank, the SARB, has cleared Cyril Ramaphosa of any wrongdoing regarding the money that was found at Phala Phala, his Phala Phala game farm, stuffed in couches, because there was an issue of stolen money.
What if I told you that somebody allegedly tried to make the Phala Phala scandal disappear with 50 million rands? Not 50,000, not 5 million, but 50 million rands. So according to explosive claims made by Arthur Fraser, pressure was allegedly applied to make the Phala Phala matter disappear. Meanwhile, commentators like Penuel better known as Penuel The Black Pen, argues that President Cyril Ramaphosa is being protected while the scandal keeps getting ignored. So subscribe to Mzansi Crime Stories, leave us a like. Let's get into the story, because things allegedly became much deeper than just dollars hidden inside furniture.
Shortly after you opened the Phala Phala case, you were approached and offered a whole lot of money.
That's true.
It's about 50 million.
Plus.
50 million plus.
No, it was 50 million and there was additional.
To drop the case. Tell us about that. How did it happen?
Okay, that happened on the 15th of June,
Yes.
2022.
Yes.
Back in 2022, South Africans were shocked when Arthur Fraser opened a criminal case linked to the president's Phala Phala farm. Fraser alleged that millions of US dollars were hidden inside furniture at a farm before being stolen, and immediately the entire country started asking questions. Why was that much cash allegedly hidden at the farm? Where did that money come from? And why did the story seem so secretive? For many people, this already sounded like a movie, but according to Fraser, things allegedly became even more serious after he opened the case. Fraser later claimed that shortly after opening the case, there were attempts to persuade him to back off. According to him, he was allegedly offered 50 million rands to drop the matter. 50 million rands. South Africans online couldn't believe it. People joked that in this country, some scandals disappear faster than electricity during load shedding. But behind the jokes was a serious issue, because if these allegations are true, then this is no longer just about a burglary at a farm. It becomes about power, influence, and possible political interference. Fraser also alleged there were promises of protection and positions if the matter disappeared. Again, these are allegations that have not been proven in court, but they shocked the country.
I go home next Saturday. It's a Saturday. I go to the president's house. I'm there. As you would have realized today, I'm punctual about time. So
No, I know.
On time.
I know that, yeah.
So I get there at 7 o'clock, and as we're walking in, he greets me cordially, but before we're sitting, he says, you know, Commissioner, I want to start with the DJ ended yesterday. And I realized, this president, at least you have the decency
to sit me down,
to sit
and take me through the whole.
So he says, no, I'm under pressure. I need you to resign, and that's what I'm here to ask you.
Pressure from who? Because he's the president of the country.
Yeah, no, I'll explain. I'll take you through if you don't mind.
Okay.
So I asked him. I firstly said, I can't resign. I told him, no, I said, Mr. President, let me go back where I ended with the DJ yesterday. DG, you've got access to a report that vindicates me.
Yes.
So you and me know that this matter is not what it is.
Yes. It's just been twisted.
Yeah, and I understand it's politics. At least we understand the truth. So I don't think I can deal with the noise. I'll continue, I can deal with the noise. He then states to me that, you know, he's getting pressure from the DA.
From the DA?
From the DA.
To fire you?
To fire me.
And he's the president of the ANC in the country?
You might know what he says after this.
Okay, I'm listening.
So he says he's under pressure from the DA. So I said, I understand, that's political noise, Mr. President. Mm-hmm. He says, no, but you are a liability to the ANC commissioner. Hey?
Liability now?
Liability.
In what way?
It is the first time that, I mean, let alone a president of the ANC. It's the first time somebody says I'm a liability to government. Mm. He says you're a liability to the ANC, you are a liability to government, you are a liability to me. And I look at this, my ANC president, and I say, oh. And I then say, so Mr. President, is this how deep factionalism has gone in the ANC? Mm-hmm. Because remember, I don't see myself as a factionalist. I'm there as a public servant, deployed by our movement at least. So I say, so this is how deep? He says, yes.
So I admit that it was done based on factionalism, not on you being really a liability, so to speak.
Yeah, so I then tell him, but you know, Mr. President, he said, but you helped NDZ at Nazareth.
2017. Yes.
So I told him, Mr. President, do you think you'd be president if I helped NDZ at Nazareth? Because I don't think so. And there was a pause, silence, pause.
This is where voices like Penuel The Black Pen became louder. Penuel Mlocha has argued that the president appears to be protected while the Phala Phala matter keeps being delayed or ignored.
Good morning, it's Penuel The Black Pen. I'm not sure why everyone is scared to say what we sort of all know. The South African government is corrupt and they are protecting the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, against what they call misconduct, which is arguably criminality. So I think back in 2019, Arthur Fraser, who was a DG of state security, I think, opened a case against President Cyril Ramaphosa of money laundering, foreign currency in his home, and covering up basically a lot of dodgy things that happened at his farm in Limpopo, Phala Phala. The allegation was that there was $4 million that had been stolen, and that there were foreign nationals involved, and Cyril Ramaphosa did not follow due process in how that matter was handled. And fast forward, 2022, when this matter was taken to Parliament, largely with the ANC in attendance, they voted against investigating further into Phala Phala after an independent panel report was tabled. It was led by retired Chief Justice Sandile Ngcobo. They said they found, based on evidence, that look, they think there is some misconduct and the president has to answer. But it was voted in Parliament, we will not pursue this. Very, very dodgy. Very wrong. So the $4 million later on, it was sort of confirmed that it was $580,000. With that being said, both amounts are amounts that if you as an ordinary South African had in your home, you probably would be investigated. And if it comes out that you'd never reported this money, you would be arrested. The money was never reported. SARS was brought in to report. They said they saw no wrongdoing, even though no taxes were paid. The South African Reserve Bank was brought in. They said, oh, a transaction wasn't concluded. Therefore, it doesn't matter that the money was not declared. If you don't declare foreign currency that you get, it's a criminal offense in South Africa and you get arrested. It's still sketchy about the Sudanese businessman who bought the so-called buffaloes because he never collected them. And why not? Hence, again, we think about money laundering. What is even more scary is the fact that this is just one transaction which was exposed. How many other transactions by President Cyril Ramaphosa? And he's not the only one. A lot of these guys that own game farms, foreign currency that they keep, money that they launder, stuff that is never declared, tax that is never paid. And we just carry on going like nothing's happened. So over the past week, a case was brought forward. A case had been brought forward from 2024 by the EFF and ATM. The EFF led by Julius Malema. The ATM, I'm currently not sure of the president, but the previous leader was Vuyo Zungula, who's been pursuing the Phala Phala case for a really long time. They took this matter to the constitutional courts. They were like, we think it's unlawful that Parliament is just voting against an investigation for the president, sitting president. The Democratic Alliance, when they came into the GNU, said, whenever Phala Phala is raised, we will not deal with it. We will protect President Cyril Ramaphosa, which means they become complicit in all the wrongdoings that come. Now with the ruling that came out, the new leader of the DA, Jordan Hill-Lewis, the previous mayor of Cape Town, has said, no, look, if there is anything to answer, we'll respect the constitutional court and we'll follow on, which is just gaslighting the rest of us. Because like, but you guys knew there was something wrong. You guys don't need a constitutional court to tell you. You as the DA, you guys have lawyers. You guys have experts. You guys have people that can tell you what's right and what's wrong. And worse, there was the Section 89 independent panel report by ex-Chief Justice Sandile Ngcobo, and you still chose to turn a blind eye. And Helen Zille categorically stated that they will not pursue Cyril Ramaphosa on this Phala Phala matter, because clearly it's more important to have power, to have cabinet seats, etc. It is crazy corruption, which we normally pass on to the ANC only, but I really like to think the DA is involved. Of course, Gayton McKenzie of the Patriotic Alliance, who was gaslighting people online after the judgment of the Constitutional Court, saying, oh, everyone now is pretending to be a social media lawyer. How convenient. You know, we supported and we voted for Gayton McKenzie. I voted for Herman Mashaba as well and Musi Maimane at the last elections. But for him to do a 180 and protect Cyril Ramaphosa, to turn a blind eye to misconduct and criminality, just speaks to a hypocritical leader, speaks to a leader that lied and scammed some of us, and to someone who cannot be trusted moving forward. So we're here now. A big shout out and a big kudos to the EFF. A big shout out and a big kudos to the ATM. What makes me sad is that the Constitutional Court, yes, they ruled that what Parliament did was unlawful legally, and that there is a case to be answered, and that Parliament has to go through a potential impeachment process and they have to investigate. But the thing is, they just sent it back to Parliament. So Parliament could still vote and be like, nah, we didn't find anything wrong, because again, it's ANC people, DA people, the PA and other members of the GNU. So really, we won't be holding our breath, because as I'm saying, our government is corrupt, and it's not just the ANC. Clearly, every other political party, as soon as they get power, as soon as they get money, they're happy to be complicit in the corruption and the crimes and potential money laundering and money that is not declared. They're okay with it. So all of them are guilty, except for the people that are bringing this matter to the fore to say, guys, this is wrong. And it cannot be that South Africans are going to be treated like this and disrespected like this, and you guys are going to gaslight them. So we'll see how it goes. President Cyril Ramaphosa should step down. It's been asked before. There was a time when he arguably was ready to, and then he was asked to stay. Helen Zille said that their funders at the DA said, please back Cyril Ramaphosa. I guess because they didn't want Paul Mashatile or someone else. So clearly there is money in the back that is making these decisions, and it doesn't really matter what voters have to say. I do think there's a criminal case to answer to. How long had the money been sitting at Phala Phala? Why was it not reported? The fact that the South African Reserve Bank and SARS cleared Ramaphosa of wrongdoing, the public protector cleared Ramaphosa of wrongdoing, makes them complicit. Because I can tell you now, if an ordinary South African citizen had the same details of a case, they would be sitting in prison today. Which means clearly all animals are equal, some are more equal than others. I will not hold my breath. I do not expect government to be fair. I do think it's about money and power, but we'll see how it goes. Furthermore, Umkhonto weSizwe led by Jacob Zuma, ex-President Jacob Zuma, and ATM. Again, I don't know the leader of ATM. I don't really see the person visually, but I do know Vuyo Zungula is one of the leaders. They have tabled a motion of no confidence against Cyril Ramaphosa. They've tabled it with the Speaker of Parliament, Umama Uthoko Didiza. Whether Parliament will vote for Ramaphosa to be removed, we don't know. But I don't trust any of these people. I just wanted to report on that and share my views, because I got a lot of DMs of people saying, what do you think about this Phala Phala judgment? I met some people when I went to go and watch Schoolboy Rugby who were also like, hey, my man, I'm waiting for your video on this Phala Phala judgment. I'm not going to hold my breath, because I've accepted that there's something wrong with the government in this country. There's something wrong with our democracy, which is controlled by money. The fact that South Africans are protesting against immigration. Mind you, fighting against illegal foreigners, undocumented immigrants, is not the issue. You can fight them till you're purple in the face. They are going nowhere. That's like being in your home and you're fighting unwanted guests that are sleeping in your bed, that are eating. You can fight them as much as you want, as long as your parents are not dealing with them, as long as your parents were comfortable to let them in, as long as they are paying bribes to your parents and our parents are happy to take those bribes and turn a blind eye, as long as your parents are going to shout at you and be like, stop mistreating these people, it's a violation of human rights, as long as your parents are going to bring NGOs to come and tell you, you can't ill-treat these people, nothing is going to change. Because the problem is your politicians, the problem is the government, which over the last 35 years has been the ANC, and today through complicity becomes the DA, the IFP, the Freedom Front Plus, the PA, Rise Mzansi, Good Party, I'm not sure who I'm forgetting, the PAC, that are all part of the GNU. These people now become complicit in a corrupt and broken immigration system where people are paid bribes at the borders, where people at Home Affairs are corrupt and they bribe for documents, or they delay giving out documents to refugees and asylum seekers and renewing other legal papers so that they can collect bribes. And because our government does not want to build fences, our government does not respect sovereignty, our government does not respect our laws. The idea of illegal foreigners being here is a crime. And the fact that our government is turning a blind eye and is fine with NGOs saying, no, these people should be here, it's a violation of human rights, is wrong. And the people that are protesting, as much as I applaud them for raising this issue, they are fighting the wrong people. Ngizwe Mchunu, Jacinta, Ngobese Zuma, Phakela Mthakathi. I appreciate that they're raising this issue, but now their issue is they are not raising it with the right people. The ANC and the rest of the GNU, who are the number one and the only reason why we have people here that should not be here, because they are not implementing the rule of law. We have to wait for a G20 for them to offer services. But on ordinary days when citizens are crying out, they don't care, because it's all about money and power. As long as you're getting paid, as long as your funders are happy, as long as your funders are happy to exploit illegal foreigners with cheap labor, it's fine. South Africa is corrupt. The South African government is corrupt. Our democracy is a sham and is controlled by rich people. It is unconstitutional that people need money to contest for politics. And I'm not going to hold my breath when it comes to Phala Phala, but I know that Cyril Ramaphosa is wrong. He violated his constitutional duties. He violated our laws the same way any other South African would have in how he dealt with the matter. We're not even speaking about the fact that he had foreign nationals working on his farm, who I can only assume are not there legally because the work they do is not a specialized, scarce skill. So how did he end up having foreigners working on his farm when they are unemployed South Africans? The whole way this matter was dealt with. And a huge shout out to Arthur Fraser for raising this matter as well. I think there's a Sunday Times article that's coming out today of him alleging that he was offered 50 million rand to drop this case. For whatever reason, maybe he was offered more to keep pursuing the case, or because his morals said, I don't care about the money, I think this is wrong. We appreciate him. And we appreciate again the EFF and the ATM for fighting for this matter so that some of us can see the rot of our government, even though we know not much is going to change and not much is going to happen. The ANC and the DA are the public enemy number 1 and 2 today. And anyone who's comfortable to defend them becomes complicit in the rot and the destruction and the deterioration of any sort of sovereignty and legality that South Africa has. And when this country eventually collapses, all of you will be guilty of that as well. Just as much as I'm taking accountability for voting for Gayton McKenzie, who's become complicit with the PA in what's going on now. Penuel The Black Pen.
And many South Africans began asking the same thing. Why does it feel like ordinary people get investigated quickly, but politicians somehow survive scandal after scandal? That perception alone damaged public trust, because once people start believing leaders are untouchable, confidence in the system starts collapsing. Things became even more dramatic when Fraser alleged that names linked to underworld figures surfaced during attempts to make the case disappear. One of the names reportedly mentioned was Mark Liefman, and suddenly this story stopped feeling like ordinary politics, because now allegations of money, intelligence connections, political power and criminal networks were all being mentioned in the same conversation. Fraser also alleged that threats followed after the supposed offers were rejected. Again, this remains allegations, but they added even more tension to an already explosive scandal. At this point, many South Africans are no longer just asking what happened at Phala Phala. They are asking whether powerful politicians are treated differently from ordinary citizens, and that's why this story refuses to disappear, because for critics, this has become a symbol of selective accountability in South Africa. Meanwhile, President Cyril Ramaphosa has denied wrongdoing regarding various allegations connected to this matter. But one thing is certain though, the Phala Phala scandal changed South African politics forever. And as people like Penuel The Black Pen continue arguing that the president is being protected, pressure for answers is not going away anytime soon. But what do you think? Do you believe Arthur Fraser's allegations? Do you think powerful politicians are being protected in South Africa? So please comment below and don't forget to subscribe to Mzansi Crime Stories for more South African political and crime breakdowns. Until next time, stay informed.